Every soul reaches a point on its journey where the road seems blocked, the light grows faint, and the heart feels crushed under the weight of yet another disappointment. Some of you right now know exactly what that moment feels like. You've poured out your strength, you've prayed, wept, and waited, yet the answer has not appeared. The door still hasn't opened. The healing hasn't shown up. The breakthrough feels like it belongs to another lifetime. But listen closely. This is not the finish line. This is not the last chapter. This is the setup for the miracle. For when your strength runs dry, God's power flows in. When people insist there is no way, God speaks, "Watch me make a way." The world may urge you to quit. Voices around you may whisper, "It's already too late." Your own mind may battle with doubt, fear, and confusion. But your life is not meant to be guided by human verdicts. You are called to trust in the Almighty, the one who splits seas wide open, who draws water from stone, who breathes life into dry bones. You are not abandoned. You are not overlooked. God sees you. God hears you. And God will make a way where there seems to be none. Miracles are not myths. They are not ancient stories reserved for the past. Miracles are real. They are alive. They are happening right now. The very breath you're taking is a miracle. The fact that you're still standing after all you've been through is proof that God is not done with you. There is a reason you didn't break. There is a reason you're still here. God is preparing something far greater than you imagined. But He's calling you to believe. Not just casually, not just weakly, but to believe with a fire in your soul, with a AI-powered meals and activity tracker. Track meals and activities with voice photos. AI analyzes your data. Get personalized recommendations that actually work. Try for free. Sponsored, steadfast spirit that refuses to let go of the promise. There's something holy about holding on when everyone else lets go. There's something powerful about believing when it looks impossible, because that's when the Red Sea parts. That's when the chains break. That's when the walls fall down without a touch. It is not your job to figure out how God will do it. It is only your job to believe that He will. Your miracle does not depend on your resources. It does not depend on your education, your connections, your status, or your strength. It depends on your God, and He is the master of miracles. He is the way maker. He opens doors that no man can shut. He lifts the humble and shatters the proud. He brings justice for the oppressed and raises the bowed down. He has never failed, and He will not fail you. Maybe you've been walking through a desert, spiritually dry, emotionally drained. Maybe the silence has lasted so long that you've begun to wonder if God is even listening. Let me tell you something. The silence does not mean absence. The delay does not mean denial. God is not ignoring you. He is working in the unseen. He is setting things in motion behind the curtain. The stage is being prepared for something that only God can do. When it happens, it won't make sense. It won't be explainable by logic. People will look at you and say, "How did this happen?" And your only answer will be, "God made a way," because that's what He does. He brings rivers into wastelands. He turns mourning into dancing. He lifts up the broken and gives strength to the weary. He is not limited by what limits you. He is not restricted by what restricts you. He is sovereign, eternal, and mighty beyond measure. But He's looking for a heart that believes. He's searching for a soul that will say, I trust you even when I can't trace you. I believe even when I don't see the evidence yet. That kind of faith moves mountains. That kind of faith makes the impossible bow to the possible. That kind of faith brings heaven's power into your life. There are moments in life when everything will try to convince you to give up. Your emotions will scream that it's over. Your circumstances will shout that it's too late. But if you listen closely, not with your ears, but with your spirit, you will hear the whisper of God saying, I'm still here. I'm still working. I will make a way. Don't limit God to your understanding. What He has planned for you is greater than what you can imagine. His ways are not your ways, and His timing is not your timing. You may feel delayed, but you are not denied. You may feel forgotten, but you are deeply remembered in the heart of God. He has written your name in the palm of His hand. He knows your story from beginning to end, and He is writing a chapter of glory that no one can erase. Your situation may seem lifeless, but God breathes life into dead places. Your future may look closed, but God is the God of open doors. Don't you dare give up now. Don't let go of hope. You are closer to your miracle than you realize. That pain you feel is not the end. It's the pressure before the breakthrough. The shaking you sense is not your destruction. It's the sign that chains are being broken and strongholds are coming down. There is a divine strategy unfolding in your life. Even if you don't see it yet, there is purpose in the waiting, power in the pain, and promise in the pressure. God is refining you. He's not punishing you. He's preparing you. He's building your character, strengthening your spirit, and getting you ready to carry what He's about to release in your life. So believe. Believe in the impossible. Believe when others mock you. Believe when you don't feel strong. Believe through tears. Believe through the storm. Believe because you know who your God is. He is faithful. He is just. He is powerful. And He will not abandon you in the wilderness. He will lead you out with a strong hand and an outstretched arm. There's someone listening right now who's been told it's too late. You've been told the diagnosis is final. You've been told your best years are behind you. You've been told the damage is too deep to be restored. But they don't know your God. They don't know the God who restores what was lost, who redeems what was stolen, who revives what was dead. Don't let their words carry more weight than God's truth. Don't let fear shout louder than your faith. You were not created to live in defeat. You were not born to stay stuck. You were formed with purpose, destined with greatness, and chosen by the Almighty to reflect His glory. So rise up in faith. Shake off the dust. Lift your head. Your miracle is coming, not because you deserve it, but because God is good. Because God is good. Because God is merciful. Because God loves to take the broken and make them whole. You may be at the end of your rope, but you are not at the end of your hope. God has a final word, and it is not failure. It is not loss. It is not despair. His final word is victory. His final word is restoration. His final word is breakthrough. So walk like it's already done. Praise like the chains are already broken. Speak like the way has already been made. Because when you act in faith, you align yourself with the power of God. You are not weak. You are being strengthened. You are not abandoned. You are being pursued by divine grace. The path may not be visible yet, but trust that the steps are being laid one by one. The same God who made a path through the sea will make a path through your storm. The same God who rained manna from heaven will supply your every need. The same God who delivered from the fire will walk with you through the flames. And when he brings you through it, and he will bring you through it, don't forget who did it. Don't forget the nights you cried and the moments you almost quit. Don't forget the faith it took to stand. And when you stand on the other side of the miracle with tears running down your face and joy overflowing in your soul, you look back and say, it was God. It was always God. And now I speak to the ones who are worn out, not in body alone, but in spirit. You've held on for so long. You've waited through so many nights, and yet you feel the weight of silence. But hear me, with all the power and truth my soul can deliver. Just because you haven't seen the miracle yet, doesn't mean it's not already in motion. Sometimes God delays what we desire to deepen what we need. Sometimes the waiting room is the preparation room, and God in his perfect wisdom holds back the blessing until your hands are strong enough to carry it, and your heart is ready to honor it. When the sun hides behind the clouds, it does not mean it has stopped shining. And when God seems silent, it does not mean he has stopped working. His delay is not his denial. His silence is not his absence. His timing is not bound to your clock. He is above time, beyond logic, and infinitely wiser than we can ever understand. What you call a setback may be God's way of shifting you into position. What you see as rejection may be divine protection. The problem is too many people give up 5 minutes before the miracle arrives. They let the pressure speak louder than the promise. They let the fear drown out the faith. But you must be different. You must stand in the fire and say, even if I see no sign, even if I see no sign, even if I hear no sound, I still believe God will make a way. That unwavering conviction becomes a magnet for the power of God. That unshakable trust becomes the doorway through which the miraculous flows. God does not operate according to popular opinion. He is not moved by statistics or limited by impossibilities. What is impossible for man is simple for God. He doesn't need approval to open a door. He doesn't require permission to change your life. When he commands, the earth obeys. When he decrees, no force in the universe can resist. If he says you will rise, nothing can hold you down. If he says the storm will pass, the winds must cease. Let your heart absorb this truth. God is not trying to figure it out. He already has the answer. Before you faced the problem, God had already written the solution. Before you cried the first tear, he had already scheduled the joy. Your miracle is not a question of if, it's a matter of when. And the when is tied to your belief, your trust, your endurance. Those who wait on God are never wasting time. They are being renewed, refined, and ready for the greater glory to come. So lift your spirit with this assurance. God is a deliverer. God is a restorer. God is a waymaker. He lifts up those who are bowed low. He crowns the faithful with strength. He exalts the one who kneels in surrender. And he will take your tears and turn them into testimony. He will take your pain and make it a platform. What looked like the end will become the launching pad for a new beginning. You see, miracles are not always loud. They don't always come wrapped in lightning and thunder. Sometimes they arrive in the stillness, in the quiet turn of events, in the moment when you thought nothing was changing, and suddenly the way is made. Suddenly the opportunity appears. Suddenly the answer comes. And not by your might, not by your power, but by the hand of God alone. It's time to speak to the mountain, not about the mountain. Too many are busy describing the problem instead of declaring the power of God. Speak life into your future. Speak favor into your situation. Speak hope into your circumstances. Say it with boldness. God will make a way for me. Not because you've earned it, not because you've figured it out, but because He is faithful, because He is merciful, because He is merciful, because He is merciful, because He is merciful. You may be in a place right now where doors are slamming in your face. You may feel like every step forward pushes you 3 steps back, but the door that God opens is the only one that matters. The opportunity that God sends is the one that will lead to lasting peace. Man may delay it. People may try to block it, but when God's hand moves, no one can stop it. He doesn't just open doors, He creates doors where there were none. He doesn't just make a way, He becomes the way in the middle of your wilderness. And don't underestimate the value of the process. Don't curse the path that shaped you. The struggle may have wounded you, but it also taught you how to stand. The fire may have burned, but it purified your purpose. Sometimes the miracle is not just in what God does for you, it's in what He does in you. The greatest transformation often comes not through comfort, but through challenge. So don't run from the trial. Don't despise the delay. Let God finish what He started in you. Let Him mold you through the process so that when the promise comes, you're ready to receive it with wisdom and with gratitude. And while you're waiting, praise Him. Worship Him in the wilderness. Lift your hands even in the dark. Because when you praise in the middle of the pain, you're not just enduring, you're elevating. You're shifting the atmosphere. You're showing God that your trust is not based on what He does, but on who He is. God is not testing your ability. He's testing your belief. He already knows what He can do. He wants to know. Do you believe He can do it for you? Do you believe He can provide even when the bank says no? Do you believe He can heal even when the doctors shake their heads? Do you believe He can heal even when the doctors shake their heads? Do you believe He can raise your life from the ashes and give you beauty in place of your pain? Let me tell you, God loves to work in the impossible. He delights in showing His power when all hope seems gone. That's when the miracle shines brightest. That's when His name is glorified most. Because when there is no other explanation, no other way, no human logic that can account for the blessing, that's when you know it was God and God alone. And I tell you, with fire in my soul, your moment is coming. That long-awaited breakthrough, that hidden door, that unexpected favor, it's on the horizon. But you must keep walking. You must keep believing. Don't let the enemy steal your expectation. Don't let fear rob you of your faith. Don't let the waiting turn into wavering. Your miracle is too close. Your purpose is too great. Your God is too faithful. There is a divine truth that must be etched deep into your heart. God does not need conditions to be favorable before He moves. He is not waiting on a report to change, on a person to shift, on a door to creak open just a little. No. When God decides to act, He overrides the natural with the supernatural. He speaks, and it is done. He wills it, and it stands firm. His command is final. and no resistance on earth or in the heavens can halt what he has ordained. That is the one you place your trust in. That is the one who will make a way for you, no matter how hopeless it may seem. There is someone watching this right now who has been circling the same mountain for years, emotionally, financially, spiritually, asking, when will this end? You have knocked and knocked, but the door has remained shut. You've prayed through tears that soaked your pillow, through whispers that never left your room. But what you must realize is that sometimes God will hold back what you asked for in order to prepare you for what you didn't know you needed. Sometimes the no is not rejection but redirection. Sometimes the pause is not punishment but protection. For God in his infinite wisdom sees the end from the beginning. You are not walking in circles. You are being trained in persistence. You are not being ignored. You are being refined. Each delay is stretching your faith. Each silence is deepening your roots. God is not in a hurry because what he's building in you is meant to last. He's not just trying to get you out of a problem. He's transforming you so that when the breakthrough comes, it doesn't break you. So that when the breakthrough comes, it doesn't break you. So that when the doors open, you walk through with humility and strength, not pride and weakness. Let this be clear. There is no power on earth greater than the will of God. No opposition can prevail against the decree of the Almighty. If God says it's time, then it's time. And when your appointed time comes, everything will align. The resources, the relationships, the opportunities, they will appear at just the right moment. Not early, not late, but divinely timed according to God's perfect calendar. So don't measure your progress by what you see. Don't base your faith on what others are experiencing. Your journey is unique. Your process is sacred. What God is doing in your life is tailored just for you. It may not look like success yet. It may still feel like a wilderness. But every step you take in faith is a seed planted in the soil of promise. And when the season shifts, when the clouds break, you will reap a harvest that cannot be denied. You are not alone in this walk. God walks beside you in the valley just as surely as he reigns above the mountains. He is closer than your breath, nearer than your thoughts. When the world forgets you, when friends forsake you, when even your own heart fails you, God remains. He is the steady hand in your chaos, the whisper of peace in your storm, the fire that cannot be extinguished even in the darkest night. And when your strength begins to fade, when your knees buckle beneath the pressure, when your voice trembles with doubt, that is the moment God's power becomes most evident. Because you were never meant to carry the load alone. You were never meant to climb the mountain by your own might. God allows the weight, so you will discover his strength. He allows the struggle, so you will lean on his presence. For it is not in your ease, but in your endurance that God reveals his majesty. To those who feel forgotten, remember the seed that lies buried the longest often produces the greatest fruit. Just because no one sees your growth doesn't mean it isn't happening. God works in the soil, in the depths, in the hidden places where no spotlight shines. And when he chooses to bring you forth, the world will see what he has been cultivating in silence. Let your faith rise, not because everything makes sense, but because you trust the one who holds all things together. Let your hope be stubborn. Let your belief be loud in the face of discouragement. Speak to the future with boldness. Say it before you see it. God will make a way. Not might, not maybe. He will. Even if the facts say it's too late, even if the doors have been closed for years, even if your heart has grown weary from waiting, God is still able. His power does not diminish with time. His promise does not expire with delays. What He spoke into your life remains intact. His word will not return void. It will accomplish what He sent it to do. Not a single syllable will fall to the ground unfulfilled. All He asks is that you believe. And belief is not passive. It is a force. It is a force. It is a fire. True belief pushes back against fear, against doubt, against every lie that says it's over. True belief says, even now, even here, even in this, I believe God will move. And that belief, my friend, activates the power of the unseen. It invites God's hand to intervene. It welcomes the miraculous into the mess. It calls what is not as though it were. Do not let circumstances define your expectation. Let God's character define your confidence. He is not like man. He does not grow tired. He does not forget His promises. He does not tease your hope. If He said He will make a way, then He will make a way through the fire, through the flood, through the impossible. You may not understand the method, but trust the outcome. You may not see the next step, but trust the guide. You may not have the strength to carry on, but trust the sustainer. He has brought you this far not to leave you now. He has invested too much in your journey to abandon you before the promise. So rise not because the struggle is over, but because your God is greater than the struggle. Lift your head not because the burden is gone, but because the one who carries it with you is mighty and merciful. Stand in faith not because you feel strong, but because God's strength is made perfect in your weakness. You have cried long enough. You have questioned long enough. Now it is time to believe again. Believe not in your own ability, but in the unstoppable, undefeatable, all-powerful force of God's will. Believe that His hand is on your life, that His plan is unfolding, that His promise is alive, even if you see no signs yet. Keep walking, keep hoping, keep speaking faith into the atmosphere, because at the appointed time, your miracle will not be delayed. And when it comes, it will come swiftly. It will come with clarity. It will come in such a way that everyone around you will say, surely God has done this. You won't have to explain. You won't have to prove. The fruit of your faith will be your witness. The power of God will speak louder than anything your words ever could. So many walk through life, burdened, bowed low by fear, anxiety, and the crushing weight of unanswered questions. Why hasn't it happened yet? Why does it feel like God is silent? Why is the way still closed? But hear me now. With the fullness of conviction. The silence of God is not the absence of God. His stillness is not neglect. It is precision. When God chooses to delay, it is never without purpose. His pauses are strategic. They are divine interludes, designed not to frustrate you, but to prepare you for the very thing you've been praying for. You must understand this. Before every miracle there is a testing. Before every breakthrough there is a moment of uncertainty. Before the way is made, There is often a wall. But what separates those who witness the power of God from those who miss it is not luck, not chance, not human effort. It is the refusal to stop believing. It is the decision to hold on to faith when everything in the natural tells you to let go. There will be seasons where God strips away the noise, the comforts, the crutches you once leaned on. Not to leave you empty, but to remind you of what truly sustains you, Him alone. He will lead you into a place where only His voice can guide you, where only His hand can provide, where only His power can bring you through. That is not punishment, that is intimacy. That is the place where faith is not just an idea, but a fire that burns through every doubt and lights the way in the dark. Listen carefully. The miracle you're waiting for is not just about the result, it's about the revelation. It's not just about what God will do for you, but what God is doing in you. He is forming a strength in your spirit, a clarity in your mind, and a resilience in your heart that no storm will be able to shake. When you believe in the miracle, when you refuse to bow to fear, when you keep walking even with tears in your eyes, you declare with your life that your God is bigger than the mountain in front of you. And make no mistake, God will reward that faith. God never overlooks endurance. He hears the quietest prayer, whispered in the stillness of midnight, when no one else knows. He remembers the heart that chooses to worship even when circumstances give no reason to sing. That kind of faith ascends to heaven. That kind of trust echoes into eternity. That is the faith that moves the very hand of God. Stop focusing on the height of the mountain before you. Fix your eyes on the greatness of your God. Do not enlarge your problems. Lift up the one who commands storms to be still. Do not drown in what you cannot control. Rest in what God is able to accomplish. He is not far away or indifferent. He is not letting you suffer without direction. He is weaving every detail into His perfect plan. Even the pain, even the setbacks, even the betrayals, He is weaving it all into a tapestry of triumph. And when the moment comes, when God steps in, everything will change in an instant. That is the power of divine intervention. It is sudden. It is undeniable. It is overwhelming in its beauty and timing. And when it happens, you won't be able to take credit for it. No one else will either. It will be so clear that only God could have done it. That is how God moves, so that all glory returns to Him. But until that moment, your assignment is simple yet powerful. Believe. Keep the door of your heart open. Keep the oil of your hope burning. Speak with confidence, even when your voice shakes. Walk with expectation, even when the path is unclear. Speak what you believe, not what you see, because your words create atmosphere. Your faith shifts the unseen, and your hope invites the power of the Almighty into the middle of your store. And don't fall into the trap of comparing your timing with someone else's blessing. Don't allow the enemy to whisper lies that God has forgotten you just because others are stepping into their harvest. Every person has their own season. Every soul walks its own journey. What God has planned for you is specifically tailored for your life, your calling, your destiny. He is not late. He is aligning every detail to match the promise He whispered into your spirit long ago. So stay planted, stay faithful, stay grounded in the truth that God is not finished with you. Even if it feels like the pages have stopped turning, even if the story seems stalled, God is still writing, and what's ahead is far greater than what's behind. What's coming will be worth every sleepless night, every prayer you thought went unheard, every tear that fell in secret. Not one of them was wasted. God bottles your tears. He hears your cries, and He moves with compassion toward those who call upon Him in truth. And yes, the enemy will try to distract you, and all he will use fear to blur your vision. He will use discouragement to paralyze your faith. He will whisper that it's pointless, that you're forgotten, that you've missed your moment. But he is a liar, and you must speak back with truth. You must declare, God is still on the throne. God still has a plan. God is not finished with me. God will not abandon the work of His hands. He does not leave His people in the wilderness. He leads them through. He does not close doors without preparing new ones. He does not prune without producing greater fruit. Every divine delay has a divine purpose, and the way that God is preparing for you, though you may not see it yet, is filled with favor, peace, restoration, and abundance. Let your confidence be in who God is, not in how things appear. Stand in reverence, not in panic. Walk in patience, not in pressure. For God is not just the God of the outcome. He is the God of the process. And every step you take, every trial you face, every moment you endure with faith is drawing you closer to the promise that awaits. You are not invisible to the Most High. Your voice echoes in His courts. Your name is known in the heavens, and what He has spoken over you, what He has declared into the very fabric of your existence will come to pass. He is not a man that He should lie. His word is sure. His will is unstoppable. His timing is perfect. And when the miracle comes, it will not be late. It will not be small. It will not be ordinary. It will be exactly what you need in a way only God could design. There is a truth the world has forgotten. But you must remember, when you walk with God, you are never walking toward defeat. You are walking through it. You may face walls. You may face waves. You may face weapons formed against you, but they will not prosper. They cannot prosper because the presence of God in your life is not symbolic. It is power. It is not theory. It is fire. You are not relying on empty hope. You are relying on the one who created the stars and hung them in their place. The one who said, "Be," and it was. That same voice still speaks. That same power still moves, and He has set His hand upon your life. And even when you don't feel it, even when the ground beneath you shakes and the sky seems closed, God is still moving. Just because you can't see the root doesn't mean the tree isn't growing. Just because you can't hear the answer doesn't mean the command hasn't already gone forth. You must stop judging your progress by your senses. Faith is not built on what you can measure, and it is built on what you believe. It is the inner fire that declares, my circumstances are not my destiny. My situation is not my sentence. My God has the final say. There are moments in life when you will be called to walk through doors that haven't even been built yet. doors that exist only in the unseen, waiting to be formed by the command of God. And when others laugh at your faith, when they question your vision, when they doubt your path, you stand firm and speak with confidence. I walk not by what I see, but by what I know, and I know that God is making a way. That is the kind of faith that moves mountains. That is the kind of belief that makes the impossible bow to the will of the Almighty. You must understand, God does not need anything outside himself to bring your miracle to pass. He is not waiting for conditions to become ideal. He does not consult with your enemies, your family, or your history before blessing you. When he says yes, no one can say no. And if he closes a door, it is not to harm you. It is to protect you from what was never meant for you. His no is as holy as his yes. His delay is as merciful as his breakthrough. Do not be disheartened when others seem to rise while you wait. Do not envy those who seem to run while you can barely crawl. Their timeline is not your truth. Their pace is not your promise. You are not late. You are not behind. You are on God's schedule. And his timing is never rush, never reactive. It is perfect, purposeful, and precise. When he blesses, it will not be a drop. It will be a downpour, not a portion, but an overflow. Not a survival, but a testimony. God does not build with speed. He builds with substance. And while you feel hidden, he is developing your roots. While you feel delayed, he is increasing your capacity. You are not waiting in vain. You are being prepared to receive something so divine, so glorious, so heavy with meaning that it requires a stronger version of you to carry it. That's why the waiting hurts. That's why the process feels endless. Because what is coming is greater than what you can currently handle. And here is something even deeper. Sometimes God withholds the visible miracle to preserve the eternal lesson. Because if he gave it too soon, you might forget the journey. If he released it too easily, you might overlook his hand. But when you've been through the fire, when you've walked through the flood, when you've survived what others didn't, then you'll know without a shadow of a doubt that it was God. Only God. Let your spirit rest in this unshakable truth. You are not fighting for a miracle. You are walking toward the one that is already written into your destiny. It's not up for negotiation. It's not dependent on man's permission. Ro, it's already signed and sealed by the will of God. And when the time is right, it will manifest not because of your strength, but because of God's sovereignty. And while you wait, protect your thoughts. Guard your mouth. Speak only what aligns with faith. The words you speak shape the atmosphere around you. If you speak defeat, you empower fear. If you speak doubt, you invite delay. But if you speak the truth of God, if you declare life where there is death, healing where there is pain, breakthrough where there is bondage, you become a vessel for divine power. Your voice becomes a trumpet of victory, echoing the sound of trust in the face of impossibility. And I tell you again with all the authority of conviction, God has not forgotten you. The battle has not disqualified you. The silence has not erased your name from his plan. In fact, you are closer now than you've ever been. Closer to the open door. Closer to the moment when everything will shift. And when it does, it will happen so fast, so powerfully, that all the years of waiting will collapse into a single moment of fulfillment. And you will stand there overwhelmed, not just by the miracle, but by the faithfulness of the one who brought you through. You will not just rejoice in the blessing, you will rejoice in the wisdom of the waiting. You will not just celebrate the door, you will celebrate the path that led you there, no matter how painful it was, because you will see with clarity. You've never known that God's plan was always better. His way was always higher. His timing was always right. This is not the end. This is the proving ground. This is the sacred space where your faith is forged, your character refined, your soul anchored. And when the way is revealed, and it will be, you will walk through it not as a beggar, but as one who trusted the King of all creation, not as a survivor, but as a conqueror, not as one who hoped vaguely, but as one who believed fiercely. There are moments in life when all you have left is a whisper, just a flicker of strength, a fragment of hope, a quiet breath in the midst of chaos. But if that whisper is anchored in belief, if that breath is directed toward God, then it carries more power than 1,000 shouts of doubt. Because when your spirit reaches for God, even in weakness, His strength rushes in. When your faith clings to Him, even in silence, His mercy flows. When your faith clings to Him, even in silence, His mercy flows. When your heart refuses to quit, even when the world says you should, that is where miracles begin to stir. That is the sacred place where impossibility begins to bow. You must understand that God doesn't look at your circumstances the way you do. He doesn't see what's blocking you. He sees what's beyond them. He doesn't focus on what's missing. He sees what's about to arrive. While you measure your life in problems and timelines, God operates in purpose and eternity. What looks like delay to you is a setup to Him. What feels like rejection is often His redirection. And when God redirects, it's not to harm you, it's to preserve you, it's to bring you to the exact place where His power can be displayed in full. Do not let your heart be seduced by the illusion of permanence. Nothing in this world is final unless God declares it so. A closed door is not the end. A failed opportunity is not the conclusion. A broken heart is not your destiny. These are not stopping points. They are transition, and transitions are always uncomfortable. They stretch your soul. They test your foundation. But if you hold on to God, if you keep walking even with trembling legs, He will reveal what the struggle was preparing you for. God allows pressure not to crush you, but to uncover what's within you. Faith isn't proven in ease. It is proven in adversity. Strength doesn't rise when the wind is calm. It rises when the storm is at its fiercest. And what God is doing in your life right now is birthing something that cannot be destroyed by external conditions. He is building endurance that won't crumble when others fold. He's developing vision that can see past the smoke, past the noise, past the confusion. And some of you listening to this right now, you've been feeling overlooked. You've watched others rise while you remain hidden. You've seen doors swing open for people who barely put in the effort, while yours remain sealed shut. But let me tell you the truth. The longer the preparation, the greater the impact. When God hides you, it's not because you are forgotten, it's because you are being fortified. You are being shaped into someone who can handle the weight of the blessing that's coming. Because what God is about to release in your life is not a surface-level moment. It's a foundation-shifting, destiny-aligning breakthrough. It's not just to impress others, it's to fulfill His plan. It's not to boost your pride, it's to glorify His power. And when it comes, it will carry weight. It will carry purpose. It will change not just your life, but those around you. Because when God makes a way, it ripples beyond you. Your obedience becomes a testimony. Your endurance becomes a light. Your belief becomes a catalyst for others to believe again. And I say this with love, but with holy urgency. Stop minimizing what God can do through you. Stop letting past failures define your future. Stop allowing other people's opinions to change your vision. God has already declared your worth. He has already authored your future. You are not an accident. You are not too late. You are not too far gone. The breath in your lungs is proof that your assignment is not complete. And if God is still writing, who are you to close the book? God does not consult your history to determine your destiny. His power is not limited by your past. He specializes in using the unlikely. He chooses the underestimated. He elevates the quiet ones because when it's all said and done, only God can get the glory. When no one believed in you, but God lifted you, then it's undeniable. When every odd was against you, but you rose anyway, then it's clear that it was God alone who made the way. So open your eyes, not to what's going wrong, but to what is still. Open your ears, not to the noise of the doubters, but to the whisper of God's promise. Open your heart, not to fear, but to faith. Because God is not done. He is still working. He is still moving. He is still moving. He is still turning dry seasons into rivers, dead ends into exits, ashes into crowns. And when it comes, when the miracle arrives, when the way is finally open, you'll see that every delay had a purpose. You'll realize that what you thought was unanswered was actually being orchestrated behind the scenes. Every tear was watering the soil. Every prayer was setting the atmosphere. Every step of obedience, even when you didn't understand, it was building a path straight to your breakthrough. And in that moment, you will weep not out of sorrow, but out of awe. You'll say, now I see. Now I understand. It was never just about the miracle, it was about the journey. It was about the shaping. It was about knowing my God. Not just through blessings, but through fire, through pressure, through surrender. So press on. Don't stop. Don't back down. Don't curse the process. Don't let go of the promise. God's word will not return void. His hand will not falter. His plan will not fail. The way is being made. Not by your might, not by your logic, not by your connections, but by the power of the Almighty. Believe again, hope again, pray again, walk again, even if it's slow, even if it hurts, even if you can't see the outcome. Walk, speak, trust, because God will make a way. And when He does, nothing will be the same. Not your heart, not your story, not your future. For when the Creator of all opens a door, it stays open. No man can shut what God has chosen to release. Stand in that promise. Cling to that fire and know your miracle is not far. It's closer than it's ever been, and it's coming. Not because you are worthy, but because God is faithful. Always faithful, forever faithful, eternally faithful. And He is making a way for you right now. So now, as you stand at the edge of all you've been through with the weight of waiting heavy, and the questions still echoing in your soul. Let this truth burn like a fire within you. God will make a way, not might, not maybe, not what He has promised, He will fulfill. What He has spoken over your life, He will bring to pass. The delays did not cancel it. The setbacks did not erase it. The silence did not silence Him. His plan is still intact. His hand is still over you. And the way, though you cannot see it yet, is already being carved through the wilderness. Do not let the storm around you shake your soul. Stand firm in who God is. He is not a spectator watching from afar. He is the one writing your victory. He knows exactly where you stand. He understands every need in your heart. And the next chapter of your story is already in His hands. Your part is simple. Believe with courage. Believe without wavering. Believe with loyalty. Trust that God will do what no one else can. So, lift your face again. Dry the tears. Take the next step forward. Speak hope. Declare victory. Expect the impossible, because God is already working in your favor and your miracle is drawing near. And when it arrives, when the path opens, when the answer comes rushing in, when the door bursts wide, you will stand amazed, realizing it was never about your effort, not your wisdom, not your network. It was God, only God forever. God, hold fast to faith. The God of miracles will open the way before you. Listen carefully right now. A season will come when the clamor around you grows unbearable. The smiles seem endless, the words sound so kind, and the helping hands so ready that you start to assume everyone near you is on your side. But I need to speak the truth into your life today. Not everyone who stands beside you truly stands for you. Not every hand that reaches toward you intends to bless you. Not every voice that cheers is genuine, and not every presence in your circle is sent by God. Some people are positioned around you by the world, others are placed there by God. One brings peace, the other brings only confusion. One leads to clarity, the other to chaos. Yet here is the miracle. God, in His perfect wisdom, will not let you walk blind forever. He will reveal the truth to you. He will reveal it sometimes with fire, sometimes with storms, with moments that rock your very soul, to show you who truly belongs in your life. Many of you have wept, asking why someone changed, why a close one grew distant, why a trusted friend betrayed you, why the voice that once praised you now whispers behind your back. But let me tell you something divine. That shift was not an accident. That change was not a coincidence. That was God's holy hand removing the mask. God is not interested in your comfort more than He is in your protection. And when your protection requires exposure, He will allow it to come. Even if it hurts, even if it shatters you, because God loves you too much to let you build your life on lies. He will tear down the fake so the real can stand. He will strip away the false loyalty so true loyalty can be born. And sometimes the people you fight to keep are the very ones God is trying to remove. When God wants to bless you, He sends someone. But when the enemy wants to break you, he also sends someone. And you must be so connected to God, so deeply anchored in His light, that you can discern the difference, not with your eyes but with your spirit. Because the ones who are against you don't always show their face with anger. Sometimes they smile. Sometimes they laugh with you. Sometimes they sit right next to you in your highest moments, waiting to see you fall. But God, oh God, sees through the shadows. He sees through the act acting, the pretending, the manipulation. And at the right time, not your time, not their time, but God's appointed time, He will shine a light that no darkness can hide from. You'll see conversations you weren't meant to hear. You'll catch behaviors that once were hidden. You'll witness betrayal you never imagined. Not because God wants to hurt you, but because He wants to free you. And hear me, sometimes God will let you get close enough to someone just so you can see who they really are when the storm hits. Because storms don't just test your foundation, they reveal the people around you. When the rain starts, the real ones stay. The fakes look for shelter. The real ones pray with you. The fakes gossip about you. The real ones lift you up. The fakes gossip about you. The real ones lift you up. The fakes disappear until your light shines again. But by then, it'll be too late for them, because God will already have revealed the truth. God will already have exposed the agenda. God will already have confirmed what you suspected but ignored. This is why you must not mourn the ones who walked away. You must not chase the ones who... You must not beg for the ones God removed, because what left your life had to leave. So what is real could remain. When someone is meant for your journey, God will confirm it. And when they are not, God will remove the peace. He will disturb your spirit. He will allow discomfort to push you to truth. And child of God, there is no greater peace than knowing that who stands beside you is truly for you. Not because of what you give, but because of who you are. You are not alone in this. God is not blind to your pain. God is not silent to your questions. God is working, and when He works perfectly. Every delay, every denial, every exposure is preparation for a new level of discernment, a new level of protection, and a new level of blessing. But first, God must show you who's real. There are moments when God will allow you to walk through the valley, not to punish you, but to purify the circle around you. Sometimes the valley is the testing ground, the refining fire, where truth is separated from deception, and loyalty is revealed not by what people say when things are easy, but by what they do when things get hard. And I tell you today with a voice full of urgency, God is not interested in how many friends you have, how many followers surround you, or how loud the applause gets. God is interested in alignment. God is interested in who is walking with you in spirit and in truth. Because when God gives you an assignment, when He places His power upon your life, there are people who cannot carry the weight of your calling. They may clap for your anointing, but they cannot endure the warfare that comes with it. And God in His mercy will not allow you to build your destiny with bricks from broken people. He will remove the ones who envy your growth. He will silence the ones who resent your peace. He will distance the ones who smile at your victories but secretly hope for your downfall. And I say to you with fire in my spirit, don't curse the separation. Praise God for it. Don't mourn the silence. Thank God for the quiet, for it's in the stillness that God speaks the loudest. You must understand, some people were only in your life to teach you who never to trust again. Some were lessons, not lifelines. Some were sent to show you how far you've come. And others, yes, others were sent to remind you of what you must never go back to. But because of your heart, because of your kindness, because of your loyalty, you kept letting them in again, and now God is stepping in, and He's saying enough. Enough of you tolerating people who drain your soul. Enough of you explaining yourself to those who never valued your truth. Enough of you bending backward to keep people who never even stood up for you. God is done watching His child suffer. in the name of false loyalty. God is done allowing your destiny to be delayed because you're too afraid to be alone. Let me tell you, being alone with God is better than being surrounded by the wrong crowd. Being alone with peace is better than being embraced by hidden hatred. And when God clears the room, it's because the next chapter cannot include characters who were never part of the plot. He knows their hearts. He hears what they say when you're not around. He sees the secret messages, the whispers, the hidden jealousy, and the passive bitterness. And while you saw a friend, God saw distraction. While you saw support, God saw sabotage. While you saw support, God saw sabotage. While you felt loyalty, God saw leeches. And he said, no more, child of God. You must understand, God does not play games with your purpose. He will offend your feelings to protect your future. He will allow the storm not to break you, but to cleanse the atmosphere around you. And when the dust settles, you'll look around and realize the very ones you thought you couldn't live without were the ones blocking your peace, stunting your growth, and delaying your elevation. You'll begin to thank God for every closed door, every unanswered text, every betrayal, every silence. You'll see it now not as abandonment but as alignment. Because when people walk out, that's not the end. That's God making space. That's God removing counterfeits so he can send the authentic. That's God pulling weeds before he sends the harvest. And hear me, when God is about to lift you, he doesn't just bless you with more. He tests the hearts of those around you. He reveals the motives. He exposes the intentions not to humiliate but to protect. And if your spirit has been restless, if your heart has been burdened with confusion about someone in your life, if you've been second-guessing the loyalty of those closest to you, don't ignore it. That is not paranoia. That is not insecurity. That is God's discernment rising within you. Listen to it. 6. Pray over it. Move with wisdom, because what God reveals, he does so for your freedom, for your safety, and for the journey ahead. What is fake cannot remain where God is about to take you. Trust the shift. Now hear me. With all the fire that burns in my soul, when God starts revealing who's real in your life, it will not always come with gentle whispers or peaceful dreams. No, sometimes the truth hits like a hammer. It shatters illusions. It disrupts comfort. It wounds the pride. Because when God lifts the veil, it's not to entertain you. It's to awaken you. And make no mistake, awakening is never soft. It is a holy disruption. It is God shaking the ground beneath your feet so that anything not rooted in truth, anything not sent by him, anything that does not serve your divine calling falls away. Some of you have been holding on to people that God has already removed in the spirit. You're still trying to resurrect what God has buried. You're still trying to find light in what God has already declared as darkness. But hear this now. God does not partner with confusion. God does not bless what keeps you in bondage. God does not strengthen what keeps you weak. And when he reveals, it is a call to action, a call to release, a call to align your loyalty with him, not with people who have proven again and again that they do not honor your worth. You see, loyalty is sacred, but blind loyalty is dangerous. There comes a time when your love for others must not outweigh your obedience to God. And obedience sometimes means walking away. Sometimes it means letting go. Not in bitterness, not in revenge, but in holy surrender. Because if God had to pull someone out of your life, it means he heard conversations you didn't hear. He saw traps being set. He saw intentions that your heart, in all its purity, could never detect. And even though it hurts, even though your heart bleeds from the loss, you must trust that God's hand is still sovereign. He doesn't just remove, he replaces. But first, he must purify. And oh, how God purifies with fire. You may go through seasons of loneliness. You may sit in rooms that feel emptier than before, but don't confuse emptiness with abandonment. God has not abandoned you. He's isolating you for clarity, for revelation, for preparation. And the people you once leaned on, the ones you thought would walk with you forever, may become strangers overnight. Don't fight it. Don't chase what God is erasing. Let them go. Let the chapter close. Let the season end. Because what God is preparing for you is not casual. It's consecrated, it's set apart, and it cannot be tainted by false alliances. Let me say this loud and clear. Real people, God-approved people, they won't compete with you. They won't manipulate you. They won't drain you, distract you, or deceive you. They will recognize your value. They will protect your name in rooms you're not even in. They will honor your journey even when you stumble. They will correct you with love and pray for you in silence. They don't need to be loud, flashy, or constant. They just need to be consistent, truthful, and God-sent. And until they arrive, walk with God alone. It's better to walk with truth in solitude than with deception in company. Because when you align with God fully, He aligns the people in your life accordingly. He filters, He sifts, He removes, He replaces, and He does it all with divine timing. So if the phone stopped ringing, if the invite stopped coming, if the love turned cold, don't panic. That's not rejection, that's redirection. That's God preserving you for the next level. And let me assure you, what's coming requires faith. It requires purity. It requires that only those who can handle your truth, your growth, your blessings, and your battles walk with you. And when they come, when God sends the real ones, you won't have to question it. Peace will surround the connection. Confirmation will follow the bond. No, there will be no striving, no chasing, no forcing, only flowing. Because when it's from God, it flows. So wipe your tears, straighten your shoulders, and lift your head. What you lost wasn't your foundation. It was just scaffolding, temporary support for a season that has now passed. God is building something eternal in you, and the real ones, those who are destined to stand with you, will not just witness your rise. They will help carry the weight of your calling. There is a sacred reason why God allows exposure to come before elevation. Because if He elevated you with the wrong people by your side, your blessing would become your downfall. If He lifted you while you were still surrounded by hidden enemies, by those who clapped with one hand and cursed with the other, your peace would crumble, your progress would stall, and your purpose would be poisoned. So God, in His infinite mercy, begins the process of revealing. And this revelation doesn't always come through thunder or fire. Sometimes it comes through the quiet, through the sudden changes, through the disappointments that seem to come out of nowhere. One day you're laughing with someone, the next they're gone. One moment you're being praised, the next you're being falsely accused. But child of God, Hear me. God is not in the business of confusion. He is in the business of clarity. What he allows to fall apart, he does so with purpose. What he allows to break off, he does so for protection. You may not understand it while it's happening. Your heart may wrestle with confusion. You may question yourself, replay conversations, blame your kindness. But the truth is, it's not about what you did wrong. It's about what God is making right. God is not just concerned with your comfort. He is focused on your calling. And when your calling becomes threatened by counterfeit connections, he steps in. He does not ask your permission. He does not consult your emotions because your destiny is too valuable to gamble with. He would rather see you cry now than see you crush later. And yes, you will cry. You will grieve what felt real. You will mourn the loss of those who once felt irreplaceable. But in time, you will see it was necessary. On the betrayal was necessary. On the silence was necessary. The distance was necessary because without it, you would have continued walking with blindfolds on, tethered to people who secretly hoped you would never rise above them. But God knows your worth, even when others don't. He knows your heart, your effort, your sincerity, and he refuses to let you pour all of that into empty vessels. So he lets the cracks show. He lets the mask slip. He lets the truth surface. And yes, it's uncomfortable. Yes, it's painful, but it's also holy because there is no growth without separation. There is no next level without letting go. Some of you are on the verge of your breakthrough, and yet you feel like you're being broken. That's not punishment. That's preparation. You're being pruned so you can produce more. You're being refined so you can carry more. You're being emptied so God can fill you with what's pure. So don't curse the breaking. Don't fight the isolation. Don't resist the change. Embrace it. Because in this sacred season, God is teaching you something priceless. How to trust his revelation over your own understanding. You don't need to figure out who's real. You just need to stay close to God, and he will show you. And when he shows you, believe it. Stop making excuses for people God has exposed. Stop repainting red flags just because your heart is attached. You cannot move forward with chains wrapped around your ankles. You cannot soar with dead weight tied to your spirit. And make no mistake, emotional weight is the heaviest kind. It will suffocate your clarity. It will drain your energy. It will sabotage your joy. That's why God is stripping it. That's why God is shaking everything around you, because he's removing what doesn't belong. Not he's tearing down what you've built out of fear, out of loneliness, out of pressure. And he's building something that will last, something that is grounded in truth, in peace, in divine alignment. So I tell you, when people walk away, let them. When hearts grow cold, release them. When silence comes, don't chase noise. Learn to be still. Learn to sit in the silence and listen, not to your emotions, but to the whisper of God. Because in that whisper, he will guide you. He will comfort you, and he will surround you. Not with many, but with the few who are real, the few who are chosen, the few who are sent, not just to be around you, but to walk beside you, in truth, in loyalty, and in purpose. Some of you listening right now are in the middle of that sacred exposure. You're watching the ones you trusted the most begin to reveal cracks in their character. You're witnessing inconsistencies, feeling unspoken tension, sensing something is off, and you don't know whether to confront it, ignore it, or walk away. But let me tell you what is happening. God is placing a spiritual mirror in front of every relationship in your life, and He is asking you this question. Is this helping you walk closer to me? Or is it silently pulling you away? Because real doesn't always mean loud. Real doesn't always mean available. Real doesn't even mean agreeable. Real means aligned with what God is doing in your life. And if someone's presence in your life is stalling your peace, disturbing your focus, or planting doubt in your spirit, then it's not from God. The truth is, God is not obligated to maintain connections that threaten your destiny. You may feel loyal to the bond, but God is loyal to your purpose. And when the two begin to conflict, He will always choose your purpose. That's why it hurts. That's why it confuses you, because your heart is still clinging to what God is cutting away. But let me say this clearly. When God reveals who someone is, believe Him the first time. You don't need 5 more confirmations. You don't need a sign written in the sky. The unease in your spirit, the lack of peace, the patterns you keep ignoring, those are all divine alerts. And when you ignore them, you delay your healing. You delay your elevation. You delay the new doors God is trying to open, because God cannot bless the version of you that continues to entertain what He's already declared is over. There is a sacred cost to disobedience. And sometimes the cost is another cycle of heartbreak, another delay in purpose, another year wasted in confusion. But child of God, you don't have to stay there. You can choose clarity. You can choose peace. You can choose alignment, because God is not the author of chaos. If the relationship brings nothing but confusion, God is not in it. If the friendship constantly drains your joy, God did not assign it. If the alliance keeps pulling you away from truth, it was never divine. And when God shows you this, He is inviting you not into pain but into freedom. Because true freedom is not just about deliverance from enemies. It's about deliverance from attachments. And that right there is the breakthrough. Many people never receive. They get out of bad situations, but stay connected emotionally to people who were never real. And so they walk free in body, but enslaved in heart. But God wants all of you. He doesn't want just your hands lifted in praise. He wants your discernment sharpened. He wants your boundaries fortified. He wants your wisdom elevated, because the next season of your life requires more than talent. It requires clarity. You must know who is for you and who is simply using you, who is walking with you and who is walking beside you, just to see if you fail. And I say this with urgency. Do not confuse proximity with loyalty. Just because someone is close doesn't mean they care. Just because they know your secrets doesn't mean they protect your spirit. Real ones don't need access to everything because they respect the sacred. They don't just hear your struggles. They pray over them. They don't just show up when you shine. They stand when you're silent. They don't compete with your calling. They celebrate your favor. And until God brings those kinds of people into your life, don't settle for company that only loves you in comfort, but abandons you in conflict. If they only love the version of you that pleases them, it's not love, it's control. And when God begins to break those chains, let Him. Because what's coming to your life will require purity of connection. God is going to send people who align with your spirit. They will be few, but they will be powerful. They will be quiet, but they will be steady. And they will not pull you from God. They will push you toward Him. That is how you will know. The real ones carry peace, not confusion, truth, not flattery, purpose, not pretense. And God will make sure you see it clearly. There is something holy that happens when God clears the room. At first it feels like loss. It feels like heartbreak, like rejection, like the ground has been pulled from under you. But what you must understand is that God never removes without replacing. And when He replaces, He doesn't just give you people. He gives you pillars. He gives you those who will hold up your arms when you're weary, not just take from you when you're strong. He gives you truth tellers, not flatterers. He gives you people who know how to pray with you in silence, not just praise you in public. But before those pillars arrive, He must tear down the old walls. Walls that were built with weak bricks, laid by those who smiled at you, but never truly stood with you. And sometimes the process hurts because God isn't only revealing others. He's uncovering your own pattern of putting up with too much. He's pointing out the parts of you that kept making excuses for people you should have released long ago. He's showing how your hunger for love made you overlook warning signs. And this isn't to condemn you, it's to mature you. Because when God exposes who truly belongs in your life, He's not just trimming your circle. He's sharpening your discernment. He's elevating your spiritual sight. He's teaching you to see people through His perspective, not through the filter of longing, but through the filter of truth. Some people still linger in your life only because you haven't faced the truth. Deep down, you know they drain your strength. You know they talk about you when you're not there. You know they only appear when it serves them. And yet you continue to open the door. But let this be the moment you close it. Let this be the season you choose peace over pity. Let this be the time you walk in the confidence that says, if God revealed it, I believe it. You cannot keep asking God for elevation while refusing to let go of dead weight. You cannot keep praying for peace while clinging to people who bring confusion. And you cannot move into the promise while holding hands with the ones God exposed as poison. There comes a moment when obedience becomes your breakthrough. Not another prayer, not another confirmation, but obedience. When you finally say, God, I trust you enough to walk away. That's when the shift happens. That's when the chains fall. That's when God begins to open doors no one can shut, because now He knows He can trust you, not just with blessings, but with boundaries. Some of you have spent your life bleeding for people who would not even hand you a bandage. You have spent your energy trying to prove your worth to those who only ever saw you as a tool. But the days of performing for love are over. God is calling you into freedom, and freedom starts with truth. You don't need a crowd to be validated. You don't need approval to feel chosen. You don't need to be understood to walk in purpose. You need God. And when God becomes your source, you no longer chase validation. You rest in revelation. You no longer beg for loyalty. You wait for what's sent, and God will send it. Oh, He will send it. He will send it. He will send it. He will send it. He will send it.
Real people, real friends, real supporters, real voices who carry His presence, not just opinions.
And when they come, you will know. There will be no striving, no guessing, no pretending, just peace, just truth, just confirmation. But you must make room. You must be willing to unclutter your life from what God never said. And I promise you, when you do, you will not be left empty. You will be filled with something pure, deeper, stronger than anything you've ever had before. Because what God has for you is real. And before he releases it, he's making sure you can recognize it. You see, God is not in a hurry like we are. We want answers now. We want clarity now. We want to see who's real and who's not. The moment we sense something is wrong. But God is strategic. God is intentional. He doesn't just remove people quickly. He lets time expose him. He lets circumstances reveal hearts. He allows seasons to shift just enough that what was hidden under comfort now begins to rise to the surface. He waits until the moment when you're strong enough to see, wise enough to understand, and brave enough to walk away. Because truth without strength is dangerous. If God showed you the full truth while your heart was still too weak to let go, you'd fall into despair. So he strengthens you first. He lets you go through moments of confusion, not to punish you, but to prepare you for the day of clarity. And when that day comes, the mask falls. The true intentions become visible. The energy changes. The tone shifts. What used to feel easy begins to feel heavy. What once brought peace now stirs anxiety. And this is the part many people miss, because when that shift happens, they don't want to accept it. They remember the good times. They replay the memories. They talk themselves into staying. But God is not revealing these things for your memories. He's revealing them for your future. And when the future calls, you cannot answer with yesterday's company. You cannot carry an old mindset into a new miracle. You cannot reach destiny dragging along what was meant to be temporary. Some people were only assigned to your preparation, not your promise. They were meant to walk with you through the wilderness, but they were never destined to cross into the land God has prepared. And if you don't let them go, you'll find yourself circling the same mountain again and again, wondering why you're stuck, why you're drained, why the door hasn't opened. It's because you're carrying more than what God asked you to carry. And God cannot release what's next until you release what's now. That's why he's showing you. That's why the pressure is rising. That's why the discomfort won't go away. It's not the enemy. It's not just bad luck. It's God speaking through silence, through disconnection, through spiritual unease. He's pulling you out of the familiar, into the faithful, out of comfort zones, into covenant places. But you must decide, are you going to follow the voice of God or the voice of your fear? Are you going to trust his exposure or cling to your expectations? Because what God reveals is not always what we wanted to see, but is what we needed to see. And if you ignore it, if you keep welcoming what God is trying to release, the pain will multiply. Not because God is cruel, but because disobedience always comes with a price. There are moments when God is whispering, let it go. And every day you delay, the heaviness in your spirit increases. But when you obey, when you surrender the friendship, the relationship, the environment, the influence, suddenly the weight lifts. Suddenly, your mind is clear. Suddenly, your peace returns. That's the power of obedience. That's the evidence of truth. God does not reveal to destroy your heart. He reveals to deliver your soul. He wants you free, not partially, not temporarily, but completely. And true freedom only comes when the truth is accepted, not ignored. So if the mask has fallen, if the signs are clear, if the peace is gone, don't second guess it. Don't delay your healing for the sake of keeping the peace, because fake peace is not real peace. Real peace doesn't require you to pretend. Real peace doesn't make you question your worth. Real peace doesn't demand your silence to keep others comfortable. God is calling you to real truth, real clarity, real people. And when they enter your life, you'll wonder why you ever tolerated anything less. But until then, walk alone if you must. Stand alone if you must. Because walking with God alone is far safer than walking with many in deception. There's a sacred power that rises in a soul that has learned to walk alone with God. Not lonely, but set apart, not empty, but full of clarity. Because when God removes what's fake, He doesn't just want you to see the truth. He wants you to be transformed by it. He wants you to become someone who no longer settles, no longer compromises, no longer allows access to hearts that never had good intentions. This is the hour where God is separating the weed from the weeds. Not just in the world, but in your inner circle. And if you've been feeling distant from certain people, don't force the connection. If the conversations feel hollow, if the energy feels off, if the loyalty feels fake, trust that that's God's protection speaking to your spirit. And He speaks not through chaos, but through unease. You know it already. You've seen the signs, but you kept telling yourself they'd change. You kept hoping they'd understand. But let me speak this plainly. God doesn't call you to babysit dysfunction. God doesn't assign you to rescue those who refuse to grow. He may use you to speak truth, but it is not your burden to carry dead weight. If the relationship only survives when you shrink yourself, that's not love. That's bondage. And God is not in it. That's why He's shaking it. That's why you're restless. Because God is removing what's not rooted in Him. And when He does, He's not just pulling people out of your life. He's pulling you out of their grip. He's freeing your mind. He's cutting the soul ties to it. He's protecting your purpose because your destiny is sacred. Your peace is valuable. Your calling is too high for low vibration alliances. And when God reveals who's real, it's because your next assignment cannot afford false energy. You don't need those who cheer for your downfall behind closed doors. You don't need those who cheer for your downfall behind closed doors. You don't need those who mimic your voice but poison your name. You don't need those who tolerate you in private but envy you in silence. What you need, what God will send, are people who pray when you don't have strength to speak. People who check on you when there's nothing to gain. People who protect your absence with the same honor as your presence. But before they come, God must first cleanse your space. He must remove the distractions. He must close the doors you keep reopening. And you must stop romanticizing what God has already removed His hand from. Stop telling yourself the history justifies the connection. Stop thinking loyalty means tolerating dishonor. Let me tell you, real loyalty has a backbone. It tells the truth. It stands in love, not manipulation. It walks with you, not ahead of you or behind you, but beside you, even in the fire. And if someone cannot handle the fire God is using to refine you, they're not meant to carry the glory that comes after. So don't apologize for growing. Don't apologize for elevating. Don't apologize for choosing peace. You owe no one an explanation for what God has shown you. Your discernment is not up for debate. When God shows you the truth, your responsibility is obedience, not negotiation. You are not crazy. You are not too sensitive. You are not imagining it. You are spiritually awake. And when you're awake, you cannot pretend to sleep. So if the connection has gone cold, if the words have become shallow, if the presence feels heavy, it's time to let, not in bitterness, not in pride, but in wisdom. Because letting go is not always a loss. Sometimes it is the beginning of something greater, something purer, something more aligned with the divine plan for your life. And the moment you release what's false, God begins to release what's real. He begins to surround you with voices that don't just echo you, but refine you. Hearts that don't just like you, but love you in truth. Souls that don't just watch you rise, but help you carry the weight of the crown God is placing on your life. And oh, what a peace it is to be surrounded by what's real. There is a turning point in every chosen one's life, when God stops allowing the noise and begins demanding the silence. And it's in that silence, that sacred separation, that God does his deepest work, not just in your surroundings, but within you. You see, the moment you finally accept what God has revealed, something begins to shift in your spirit. You stop begging for closure from people who were never capable of giving it. You stop waiting for apologies that were never sincere to begin with. You stop needing the approval of those who never saw your value. And you begin to live differently. You begin to walk with a posture of peace that cannot be faked. You begin to carry yourself with dignity that does not depend on who affirms you. You begin to protect your space, guard your energy, and value your time, not out of pride, but out of wisdom. Because when God opens your eyes, you can no longer live blind. And that new vision, spiritual, sharp, God-breathed, makes you see everything clearly. You begin to recognize manipulation without them even speaking. You discern dishonor before it takes root. You sense deception in places that used to feel familiar. That's not you changing for the worse. That's God maturing your discernment. He's teaching you how to walk in truth without needing everyone's company. Because let's be honest, some of you have stayed in circles that no longer fit who you're becoming. You've outgrown the conversations. You've outgrown the gossip. You've outgrown the patterns, the cycles, the mindsets that once felt normal. And now you feel it. That aching discomfort when you're around people who speak one way but live another. That deep knowing when someone's presence feels more like pressure than peace. That's not arrogance. That's alignment. God is realigning you. He's pulling your spirit into a new atmosphere. He's shifting your soul into a higher place. And not everyone is allowed to come. You must accept this. Elevation requires separation. God doesn't elevate with baggage still attached. If it doesn't fit the new season, he will shake it loose. And if you try to hold on, you'll feel it. You'll feel the weight. fight, the warfare, the resistance, because God will not let you walk into the promise with polluted hands. He is purifying your circle. He is purging your relationships. And this time he's not asking you. He's commanding you to let go. Not because he wants you alone forever, but because he wants you ready, ready for the right people, ready for the next assignment, ready for the real ones who will not dilute your anointing, but defend your calling. But you cannot meet them while entertaining those who mock your growth. You cannot receive new oil while clinging to broken vessels. You cannot hold what's divine while chasing what's draining. Let them go. Let the silence come. Let the room be empty, because what God fills it with next will shock you. He's about to surround you with people who see you without needing explanation, who pray for you without being asked, who support you without conditions. But until then, honor the exposure. Honor the closing doors. Honor the discernment that won't let you rest in places that no longer carry God's presence. You're not crazy. You're being called higher. And the higher you go, the more quiet it gets. But that's where God speaks the clearest. That's where peace floods in like a river. That's where purpose wakes up and chains fall off. But you must go alone first. You must let him show you what's real. Who's real? In why he had to remove what he did. And when it all makes sense, and it will, you'll drop to your knees, not in sorrow, but in praise. Because what you thought was loss was actually God's protection. What you thought was rejection was actually redirection. And what you thought would break you was the very thing that brought you closer to the truth that changes everything. God will always show you who's real. And when he does, it's your job to believe him. And now you stand at the edge of a new season, one shaped not by what others have done to you, but by what God is doing in you. You have seen things you cannot unsee. You have felt shifts that you can no longer deny. And though your heart may still ache from the weight of exposure, your soul is lighter than ever, because what God has lifted off of you, it was never meant to stay. Those connections that faded, they were never real. Those voices that once praised you but now ignore you, they were never sent by God. The silence, the distance, the rejection, it was never about your lack of worth. It was about the abundance of your calling. And now you're beginning to see it. God didn't let them stay because they couldn't handle the next version of you. The healed you, the focused you, the called and consecrated you. You are not who you used to be. And that's a miracle. You're no longer seeking validation from empty wells. You're no longer giving explanations to people who never valued your voice. You're no longer stretching yourself thin to be understood by those who never cared to listen. Because now you understand not everyone was supposed to come. Not everyone was assigned to your future. Not everyone was built for the altitude God is lifting you to. And that's okay. You are not less for walking alone. You are not broken because they left. You are not cursed because the door closed. You are covered. You are protected. You are chosen. And what God removes, he removes with holy intention. Every disappointment you endured, he saw it. Every betrayal that broke you, he witnessed it. Every tear you cried when no one was watching, he caught it, and he did not forget. He used it. He turned it into fuel. He turned it into wisdom. He turned it into fire in your bones, so that now when you speak with power. Now when you move with authority. Now, when you love from discernment, not desperation. This is the shift. This is the awakening. This is the moment when everything changes. Not because the world got better, but because your eyes open. You now know who you are. You now know what peace feels like. You now know what real love looks like. It looks like consistency, not convenience. It looks like truth, not performance. It looks like presence, not pressure. And God, yes, God is the author of all that is real. He is not the God of masks. He is not the God of hidden motives. He is not the God of manipulation. He is the God of light, the God who exposes every shadow. And in His light, there is no shadow that can remain hidden. So the next time someone shows you who they are, believe it the first time. And when God pulls back the curtain, don't close it again. Don't argue with the truth. Don't trade discernment for nostalgia. Don't let loneliness drag you back into bondage. You're free now, and freedom comes with a new walk, a new sound, a new circle, a new fire. Let them call you cold. Let them call you distant. Let them say you've changed, because yes, you have. You've changed into who God always intended you to be. You have become someone who refuses to settle for less. Someone who no longer begs. Someone who will not tolerate anything that wounds your spirit. Now you walk with God in honesty, and that honesty will keep you safe. That honesty will lift you up. That truth will steer you. That truth will steer you. And from this moment on, whatever comes, whoever leaves, whoever stays, you will know. You will see it plainly. You will feel it immediately, because your eyes are no longer on people. Your gaze is fixed on God. And when your eyes are fixed on God, you will no longer need to worry about who is genuine, because He will reveal them. And what He reveals, He does with divine precision, with everlasting love, and with perfect protection. And when He reveals it, it will not only change how you see others, it will forever transform how you see yourself. There comes a time when heaven's silence begins to carry a voice. A time when the storm that once roared is humbled by a gentle whisper. And I want you to catch it today, not with your ears, but deep within your spirit. Because God is speaking to you right now. Words the enemy hopes you'll never hear. Truth your pain has tried to muffle. A message your circumstances have attempted to bury, but you must hear it clearly. God declares this is the end of your hardship, not because you've earned it, not because you've achieved it, but because in His mercy He has spoken an end to your trial. For He still reigns on the throne, and nothing continues beyond the season. He ordains, the night may have dragged on, the valley may have been deep, but dawn is breaking, and the voice of God resounds over your life, declaring enough. The affliction has finished its course. The pain has done its work. The tears have watered the ground, and now the harvest begins. For when God speaks, chains are shattered. When God declares, time responds. Seasons shift, doors open. Hearts heal. And today I'm not here to ask your opinion. I'm not here to beg your belief. I'm here to deliver a word from the Most High. Your suffering has an expiration date, and that date is today. Because what was sent to destroy you has only refined you. What was meant to break you is only revealed how unbreakable God made you. People may have abandoned you. Circumstances may have betrayed you. But the truth still stands. God has never left your side. He has seen every tear. He has counted every sleepless night. And he has heard every prayer you thought went unanswered. What you thought was silence was preparation. What you thought was delay was divine strategy. And now God is stepping into your life to declare the wilderness is over. This is not the end of your life. This is not your defeat. This is your moment of turning, a sacred pivot divinely appointed. God is not watching from afar. He is leaning in. He is drawing near to lift the burden that has crushed your shoulders. He is reaching into the ashes of what was and breathing new fire into your future. He is not a God of random chaos. He is the master of seasons. And the season you're stepping into is not defined by what you lost, but by what you're about to gain. Let me tell you, your pain was not in vain. The waiting was not wasted. The isolation was not empty. Every second of your suffering was known to God, and He has stored every moment like seeds waiting for rain. And the rain is coming. The drought is over. The heavens are shifting. God is about to pour out what the enemy never saw coming, and it will overflow. Too long you've lived under the shadow of fear. Too long you've questioned your worth. Too long you've walked with a limp in your spirit, pretending to be fine while breaking inside. But no more. This is not the day of defeat. This is not a funeral. This is a resurrection. God is breathing life into what looked dead. He is calling out what was buried. He is resurrecting your faith, your strength, your hope. This is not the end of the road. This is the turning point, the breaking of chains, the lifting of burdens, the beginning of something so sacred that even the pain begins to make sense. God does not allow suffering without purpose, and He never declares the end without preparing a new beginning. You may not feel ready. You may still see the mess, but that's exactly how transformation begins. God doesn't wait until you have it all together. He steps into the ruins and rebuilds from the ground up. He doesn't need your perfection. He requires your surrender. He doesn't ask for your strength. He moves in your weakness. And when you finally come to the end of yourself, that's when you begin to see the power of God move. Not because you're powerful, but because He is. He's not impressed by your efforts. He's drawn by your dependence. And right now, if you can just open your heart and believe that God is speaking this word over your life, that this is the end of your tough time, then everything is about to shift. Not because of hype, not because of emotion, but because God does not lie. When God says it's over, it's over. When God closes a chapter, no man can reopen it. When God lifts you out, no force in hell can drag you back down. You've been through the fire, but you were not consumed. You walked through the flood, but you did not drown. And now it is your time to walk into peace. The peace that surpasses understanding. The peace that doesn't make sense but settles your soul. The peace that says, I may not know what's coming, but I know who holds tomorrow. God does not change, He does not sleep, He does not forget, and He never fails. And if He has allowed you to come this far, it means He is not finished with you. There is still purpose in your bones. There is still fire in your soul. There is still a future that only God can write. You see, tough times don't mean God is absent. They mean God is preparing. And the harder the battle, the greater the breakthrough. You didn't go through all of this to come out empty. You didn't cry all those nights to remain in sorrow. God is not cruel. He is not distant. He is your refuge, your rock, your deliverer. And He's declaring over your life right now, you've suffered enough. The lessons have been learned. The strength has been forged. The faith has been purified. And now the time of lifting is here. You will rise. You will recover. You will smile again. Not because everything is perfect, but because God is faithful. And His faithfulness does not depend on your feelings. It depends on His promise. He promised never to leave you nor forsake you. He promised to be close to the brokenhearted. He promised to bind up your wounds. And if He promised it, He will perform it. Do not mistake the delay for denial. Do not confuse the silence for absence. God has been working behind the curtain. And now He is about to reveal what He's been preparing. Some of you lost relationships. Some of you lost jobs. Some of you lost peace. But God says you are not empty. You are ready. Ready for the next level. Ready for what's been hidden. Ready for what eyes have not seen and ears have not heard, because the tough time has been a training ground, and the warrior you've become was not built on the mountaintop. It was forged in the valley, and now that valley is behind you. You will look back and not even recognize the person you were. The pain made you wiser. The waiting made you stronger. The silence made you listen. And now God is saying, Trio, come forth. Step into the light. Step into healing. Step into freedom. This is the hour. This is the moment. The tough time is over, not because you escaped it, but because you conquered it. And what tried to bury you will now testify of your survival. The same people who doubted you will witness your rising. The same devil that attacked you will flee at the sight of your peace, because God has changed your atmosphere. He has shifted the climate, and nothing can stop what He has begun. You have endured not just a trial, but a divine proving ground. This wasn't just hardship, it was heaven's shaping. You didn't just go through difficulty, you went through the fire and came out refined like gold. And what you didn't see during those long, weary nights was how God was working silently, like a master craftsman behind the scenes. He was removing what couldn't go with you into your next chapter. He was pruning so that you would bear greater fruit. He was stretching your faith so that it could hold the weight of the blessings that are now approaching. You felt loss, but God saw preparation. You felt delay, but God saw development. You felt forgotten, but God never took His eyes off of you. Not for a second. If only you could see what He protected you from while you were weeping. If only you could understand the storms He never let reach your shore. His silence was not neglected, was restraint. Mercy held back what your heart wasn't ready to carry. Let this truth echo in the chambers of your soul. The tough time was never about punishment. It was about positioning. God was shifting the ground beneath your feet. He was closing doors not to hurt you, but to root you. He was removing people not to isolate you, but to insulate you from what could have destroyed you. This was a divine rearrangement, and now the process is complete. The tears watered the soil. The fasting broke the chains. The prayers tore through the heavens. And now the signal has been given. The trumpet in the spirit has sounded. Roll. The cloud is moving. God is announcing an end to the oppression that lingered too long, to the discouragement that settled like dust, to the heaviness that clung to your chest every morning. It's lifting now, not by your might, not by your intellect, not by coincidence, but by the command of God Almighty. And hear this with fire in your soul. What's coming next is not a return to normal. It is not a recycled version of your past. What God is doing now will make sense of every unanswered question. It will silence every voice that mocked you. It will restore the years that were stolen, not just in pieces, but in overflow. God is not interested in small recovery. He is a God of complete restoration. He does not patch up the broken. He makes all things new. And when he declares the end of something, it is not a mere suggestion. It is final, absolute, and sealed in the heavens. This is your divine ship. The season of wandering is over. The season of questioning is behind you. The time of doubt is ending. Your inner storm is meeting the stillness of God's hand. Now is the moment to rise, not in your strength, but in God's, not with fear, but with fire. Stand not as a victim of your past, but as a testimony of what God can do with a surrendered soul. You were pressed, but not crushed. You were struck down, but not destroyed. And now you are rising with scars that speak louder than sermons. You are walking with a limp that reminds you of your wrestling with God, but also of your victory. You are moving forward, not because life got easier, but because God got louder. His voice is calling you out of hiding, out of doubt, out of weariness, and into purpose, into peace, into provision. There is a divine urgency in this hour. This is not the time to look back. This is not the moment to second guess. You cannot return to what God has already closed. You cannot reattach what God has severed. When he says it's over, that is your cue to move forward. Don't stay camped in the wilderness when the cloud has moved. Don't remain in the grave when God has called you forth. Yes, it was lonely, but yes, it is over. And what God is doing next requires your full trust. You must walk by faith now, not by what you see, but by what God said. And he said, the tough time is finished. Let that sink deep into your spirit. Let it become your declaration. Let it silence the voice of doubt that still lingers. When God delivers a word, it becomes the foundation of your next step. You don't need to understand how. Just believe. Who is speaking this over your life? The creator of the universe. The one who hung the stars, carved the oceans, and knows every hair on your head. If he says your struggle is ending, then nothing, no enemy, no circumstance, no fear can undo that. It's already written in the eternal records of heaven. The shift has begun, and now your only task is to walk in it, to step forward, to believe that healing is not only possible but promised, to understand that what once held you down will now become your stepping stone. God is not a man that he should lie. He doesn't tease his children. He doesn't raise your hopes to let you fall. If he has brought you to this point, it's because he intends to bring you through. The finish line is in sight, and it is not just the end of a chapter. It is the start of a testimony. One that will echo through generations. One that will inspire others to believe. One that will make even your enemies marvel at the favor resting upon you. You will no longer be known by your struggle. You will be known by your survival. And more than that, you will be known by your surrender to God's process. That's where the power lies. Not in pretending to be strong, but in fully depending on God. Because when God carries you out of a storm, the world takes notice. And they will ask how you made it. And your answer will not be about strategy or luck or timing. It will be this: God said it was over. Do not let the enemy convince you that just because you feel weary, you are weak. That just because the pain left a scar, you are somehow disqualified. No. Scars are evidence of survival. They are proof that you were hit but not taken out. They show that while others gave up, you kept moving. That while others walked away from their faith, you held uneven, if it was with trembling hands. And now God is honoring that perseverance. He is not rewarding perfection. He is rewarding faith. And even faith, the size of a mustard seed, can move mountains when it is placed in the hands of the Almighty. That mountain of sorrow that sat in your chest, it's coming down. That mountain of fear that stood before your future, it's crumbling. That mountain of shame that whispered you'll never rise again, God is casting it into the sea. God is not limited by what limited you. He is not intimidated by your past, nor is he discouraged by your weakness. In fact, that weakness is where his strength thrives. He chooses the broken, the battered, the overlooked, and the tired. Because when he lifts them up, no one can say it was human strength that did it. It becomes a testimony that draws eyes back to the heavens and says, surely this was the hand of God. And now he is about to do something in your life that will leave no room for doubt. What he is about to release over your life will shut the mouth of every critic, every voice that questions whether you'd make it out. He is preparing to do exceedingly abundantly above all you can ask or imagine or not in the next life. But here now, in this present moment, you're not waiting for hope to find you anymore. Hope is standing at your door knocking. Open your heart and let it in. Because hope is not a fantasy. It's a force. And when God fills your life with it, everything changes. The colors return to your days. The heaviness lifts. You begin to dream again, breathe again, believe again. But this time, your belief is not naive. It is not easily shaken. It has been tested in fire. It has endured the crushing weight of sorrow. It has stood face to face with despair and declared, God is still good, and that kind of faith is unstoppable. That kind of faith shakes the foundations of hell. That kind of faith is what pulls you out of the dark and into the dawn. Understand this. Your tough time was not random. It was a sacred divine appointment in the school of endurance. God wasn't punishing you. He was preparing you to carry more peace, preparing you to speak with more authority, preparing you to help others out of the very pit he pulled you from. He has entrusted you with experience, not just for yourself, but for someone else's deliverance. Because when you come out of this, and you will, you won't just be free, you'll be equipped. You have eyes that can see suffering and hands ready to lift. You carry wisdom wrapped in compassion. And your very presence will be proof that tough times don't last, but people anchored in God. There are seasons where God hides you, not to reject you, but to protect what He's building in you. He had to take you out of certain places, not because you didn't belong, but because the environment was contaminating your growth. He had to cut off relationships, not because you were unlovable, but because the attachments were draining your spirit. You didn't lose those things. You were preserved. He separated you so that He could sanctify you, because what He's about to release in your life required space. And God will not pour new oil into old wineskins. This is a new day, a new measure, a new assignment, and the old can't go with you. So now you must make peace with what didn't work out. Forgive what you cannot understand. Release what you can no longer carry. The season has shifted. What you carry now is too heavy to drag old burdens with you. God is saying, let it go. Lay it down. The battle is no longer yours. It's mine. That anxiety you've been wearing like armor, take it all. That self-doubt you've allowed to guide your decisions, tear it down. That guilt that keeps resurrecting your past, bury it for good. God is not calling the version of you that lived in survival mode. He's calling the version that is ready to live again. The one that knows peace can bloom even after pain. That knows restoration is not a fantasy, but a birthright in the presence of God. Listen closely now, not with your ears, but with your spirit. You can almost feel it. The wind is changing. The air is lighter. The weight on your shoulders is starting to lift. That is the sound of divine movement. That is the breath of heaven signaling the end of your season of struggle. It won't always be like this. And for you right now, it no longer is like this. The line has been drawn in the spirit. The darkness has reached its limit. God has set the boundary and declared no more. No more torment. No more confusion. No more spiritual drought. The dry place is being flooded. The barren land is about to bloom. The time of mourning is being exchanged for dancing. And where there was once lack, there will be overflow. You may not see the full picture yet, but trust this. God never begins a work He does not intend to finish. He never starts writing a story only to leave it hollow full. Your life is still under divine construction. And the beauty that is about to emerge will not come from worldly success, but from spiritual transformation. You are about to see why the pain had to be permitted, why the delay was essential, why the doors had to stay shut. Because had they opened too soon, they would have swallowed you. But now you've been fortified. Now you've been matured. Now you're not just walking. You're walking in divine alignment. And that, my friend, is the power of God. He not only ends tough times, He transforms them. He doesn't just pull you out. He raises you up. He sets your feet on solid ground and puts a new song in your mouth. You thought it was over, but God was just getting started. And this next chapter is not about recovering what you lost. It's about discovering what you never even imagined. It's about stepping into the fullness of a life lived under the shadow of the Almighty, not striving but surrendering, not worrying but worshiping, not fearing but flourishing. There is a sacred stillness that follows every storm, and you are standing in it now. Not because the winds simply grew tired, but because God commanded them to cease. Do you understand what that means? It means the same power that governs galaxies just intervened in your life. The same force that keeps the sun burning and oceans restrained has stepped into your chaos and drawn the line. He said this far and no further. The turmoil that has worn you thin, the weight that's made it hard to breathe, it is lifting now because God has spoken. And when God speaks, the universe must respond. When God declares the end of your tough time, every demonic scheme, every spiritual opposition, every delay that once stood firm must bow to his authority. This is not a fragile hope. This is not a dream you're trying to convince yourself to believe in. This is divine certainty. You are not here by coincidence. You are not hearing these words by accident. God ordained this moment before the foundation of the world because he knew you'd reach the edge. He knew you'd be moments from giving up. He knew your soul would cry silently in the night. How much longer, God? And right at that breaking point, he scheduled a divine intervention. You didn't find this message. This message found you. It came like a trumpet in the wilderness, like water in a dry place. Because God refuses to let you quit in the valley when he's prepared a mountain for you to climb. He is not just watching your struggle, he is stepping into it. And when he steps in, everything shifts. Not just the obvious things, even the unseen, the unnoticed, the inner wars no one else knows. You fight. Those are being silenced now because the battle wasn't always outside of you. The toughest war has been inside your own soul. You've smiled when you were crumbling. You've prayed through clenched teeth. You've battled fear with shaking hands. You kept moving forward, not because fear was absent, but because something within you refused to bow to the darkness. That something was the Spirit of God sustaining you, lifting you, and fighting unseen battles on your behalf. Now comes the reward. Not a reward men can offer, but one only God can bestow. Peace that isn't tied to outcomes. Joy that asks for no explanation. Strength that rises in quiet moments. God is moving you into supernatural provision. Where you once toiled, now you will encounter favor. Where doors were locked, they will now swing wide. Not because of merit, but because of endurance. For when others chose the easy way, you stayed in the fire and trusted God to bring you through. And he never forgot. He never passed you by. He witnessed it all, the long nights, the silent tears, the quiet courage, and now he is honoring it with a holy release. What God is doing in your life now is not simply about comfort. It's about calling. He didn't let you survive just to rest. He let you endure so you could carry something sacred. The wisdom you gained in the wilderness will become healing for others. The insight you were given in isolation will become guidance for the broken. You are now a vessel of light. And that light wasn't lit by ease. It was forged in the dark. So don't diminish what you carry. Don't downplay the oil that flows from your life now. It is costly oil, pressed from pain, refined by time, and poured out by the hand of God himself. And you need to know this. Nothing that was stolen from you is gone for good. The God who ends tough times is the same God who restores what was lost. And when he restores, he does it with interest. He multiplies what you thought was gone he gives beauty for ashes, joy for mourning, and praise for the spirit of heaviness. Music, he doesn't just replace, he upgrades. And what's coming won't look like what you lost. It will be better, richer, deeper, because it will come with peace. And anything that cost you your peace is too expensive for this next chapter. Right now, the weight is lifting. The fog is clearing. You may not feel it all at once, but don't mistake slow healing for no healing. God often works in quiet, steady movements. Mountains don't shift with a bang. They shift with a groan, and your life is groaning into alignment. The ground beneath your feet is stabilizing. The noise of the past is fading, and the voice of God is growing clearer. He's not yelling, he's whispering. Because now that the storm has passed, he can speak in soft tones again. And what is he saying? Come forth, rise, breathe again, smile again, dream again, walk boldly into the new season, because it has already begun. Let go of the guilt that says you don't deserve it. Let go of the shame that still tries to chain you to the past. Let go of the self-doubt that argues with your destiny. God has already judged you worthy, not by your works, but by your endurance. He looked at your pain and saw perseverance. He saw faith. And faith moves mountain. Faith breaks chain. Faith opens heavens. You are not weak for feeling weary. You are mighty for not giving up. And now God is rewarding that tenacity with transformation. Not just of your situation, but of your identity. You're not just someone who went through a storm. You are someone who emerged from it, clothed in strength, anointed by the struggle, and appointed for greater things. The pain you endured was not for nothing. The weight you carried wasn't wasted. God is too intentional to let your suffering be in vain. He is the master builder, and every brick of hardship was laid with precision. Every tear you cried was counted. Every night you spent staring at the ceiling, begging for answers, was heard. And now he's answering, not with explanations, but with restoration. Because when God answers, he doesn't always explain what he was doing. He shows you why it had to be done. You're about to walk into answers that don't come in words, but in wonders. You're about to live the reason for your season. The questions that once screamed in your soul will bow to the peace that comes when God shifts the atmosphere. You've been faithful over little, and now he is making you ruler over much. Not to make you boastful, but to make you fruitful. Your survival wasn't for you alone. It was for the ones who will follow your footsteps, hoping someone can show them that the dark doesn't last forever. And you'll show them not with sermons, but with your scars, not with theory, but with the authority of experience. You've become a living message of God's mercy, a walking example that the fire may rage, but it cannot consume what God has preserved. You are not marked by what tried to kill you. There were moments you almost broke, times you questioned if you had the strength to make it another day. But look at you now. You're still standing. And not by your own doing. You're standing because God held you when you were too weak to hold yourself. And now he is not just holding you. He is lifting you, elevating you, pushing you, into the purpose that was buried beneath all the chaos. He's bringing it to the surface now, like treasure rising from the depth. And when God reveals purpose, no enemy can bury it again. No opposition can steal what he ordained. What you are walking into is not open for negotiation. It is sealed by divine decree. There is a spiritual momentum building in your favor. You may not feel it in the natural yet, but something is shifting in the unseen. God doesn't wait for perfect circumstances to move. He speaks things into existence long before you see the evidence. And today he is speaking acceleration over your life. You've crawled long enough. You've wept long enough. Now comes the season of swift progress, divine alignment, unexpected blessings. The people who rejected you will watch as you rise. The doors that were once locked will open without explanation. Opportunities you didn't chase will chase you. Not because you manipulated anything, but because you trusted everything to God. This is the power of surrender. It invites the supernatural. So it allows God to write the story without interruption. And when he writes with fire. He writes with favor. He writes in ways that man cannot erase. What he is about to release over your life won't require you to compete. You won't need to strive for it, beg for it, or prove yourself worthy. You just need to receive it. It's coming because he promised it. It's arriving because he ordained it. And it's yours because he called you by name. When no one else saw your value, when others walked past you, when life overlooked you, when friends turned away, God was calling you his. And when God claims you, everything connected to you must come under his order. That means no more disorder in your spirit, no more confusion in your mind, no more chaos in your emotions. Peace is claiming your atmosphere. Clarity is flooding your path. Assurance is being planted where doubt once grew. And don't be surprised when things that once brought you fear no longer have power over you. God is rewiring your reaction. He's renewing your mind. The old triggers are losing their grip. The past is losing its sting. You won't be manipulated by memories anymore. You won't be tormented by what-ifs. The tough time no longer defines you. God has declared a new identity over you. Victorious, chosen, secure. Some people around you may not understand the shift. They knew you by your struggle. They identified you by your battles. But God is changing your name in the Spirit. No longer burdened, no longer forgotten, no longer broken. He is calling you redeemed, strengthened, restored. When God names you, that name carries authority. It carries destiny. The labels that life stuck on you are falling off like the words others spoke over you are being reversed in the courts of heaven. The curses are breaking. The cycles are ending. The generational patterns that tried to repeat themselves through you are being interrupted by the power of God's hand. This is your reset, a holy reset. God is not just delivering you. He is delivering your bloodline. He is cutting off what plagued your family for years. He is stopping the repetition of pain. You are the interruption. You are the shift. You are the proof that when God steps in, nothing stays the same. Your future will not mirror your past. The trauma stops with you. The limitation ends with you. The fear dies here. And from this day forward, a new legacy begins. One built not on survival, but on supernatural strength. One fueled not by fear, but by faith. And now as the dust settles and the fire of affliction fades behind you, you must understand this. You are stepping into a holy moment. Divine crossing over. The wilderness is behind you. The silence, the struggle, the shadows, they are no longer your portion. God is drawing a clear line in your life. A line that marks the end of confusion and the beginning of clarity. A line between who you were in the fire and who you are in the aftermath of deliverance. This isn't just about being rescued. It's about being revealed. Because the fire did more than test you to uncover you. It burned away what was false. It stripped off what was weak, and what remains is pure, refined, ready. You've been made new, and what God restores, He reassigns. You are not returning to where you were, you are rising into who you were always meant to be. God has built a foundation beneath your pawn you couldn't see while you were weeping, but one that's been holding you steady all along. That foundation is faith, not the shallow kind that shouts on the mountain, but falls apart in the valley. No, this is deep faith, gritty faith, weathered faith, the kind that can't be shaken because it was born in the storm. And now that faith is about to produce fruit. God didn't just preserve you to survive. He preserved you so that through you others would find hope. There is a purpose to this recovery, a mission on the other side of this miracle. He didn't bring you out to hide you. He brought you out to shine through you. You are no longer hidden. Heaven is calling you visible. You are no longer overlooked. God is putting a spotlight on what He's done in your life. Not so you can boast in yourself, but so you can boast in Him alone. What's next will require boldness. Not arrogance, but holy. The kind that comes from knowing God is the one who opened the door, and if He opened it, no man can shut it. You don't need to explain this season to those who weren't with you in the last one. You don't need validation from voices that didn't encourage you when you were down. God is your validation. His presence is your approval. His favor is your evidence. So walk forward not with hesitation, but with holy confidence. The same God who brought you out is going ahead of you now. And every step you take in obedience is a declaration that your tough time is over and your time of overflow has begun. And don't be surprised when restoration comes from places you never expected. Don't limit how God moves. What you lost in years, He can return in moments. What you thought was gone forever, He can resurrect with a single word. He is not bound by human timelines. He does not operate on earthly logic. One touch from God can shift decades of damage. One decision in the Spirit can reverse a lifetime of pain. And that is what He is doing right now. You may not see the full picture, but you can sense it. You feel the atmosphere around you starting to change. You feel the weight on your shoulders beginning to lift. That's the sound of breakthrough. That's the sound of chains falling. That's the sound of heaven leaning in with favor. This is the season where you will not have to chase what God has already assigned to you. You don't have to strive for what is already yours. You simply need to stand. Stand in truth. Stand in obedience. Stand in faith. The tough time may have taught you to survive, but this new season is going to teach you to thrive. And thriving in God's presence means living without fear of the next battle, without waiting for the next disappointment. It means you begin to breathe with ease again. You laugh again. Not nervously, but freely. You love again. Not cautiously, but fully. That's what God is giving back to you. Life, and life more abundantly. There is a holy wind blowing now. Can you feel it? It is carrying you forward. You are not walking alone. You are not hoping blindly. You are moving in the rhythm of God's promise. And that promise is that He will complete what He started. That He will uphold you with His hand, that He will lead you into green pastures, even if all you've known are valleys. The ground may still be wet with your tears, but flowers are blooming from the soil. Joy is rising from your sorrow. Peace is being poured into every cracked place of your spirit. God is turning mourning into dancing, not in theory, but in truth. Your life is about to sing a new song, not written by pain, but by promise. So lift up your head, straighten your spine, roll your shoulders back, and stand tall. Not because of pride, but because of confidence in the one who never failed you. If He brought you out, it's because He's not done showing off His power in your life. You are not forgotten. You are not forsaken. You are favored, chosen, called, and your assignment didn't end in the fire. It began there. This is not the end of your story. It's the start of a new volume. And every page from this point forward will be marked by evidence of God's hand. The tough time was real, but the breakthrough is even more real. It has weight, it has glory, and it has your name on it. You are walking out the fire, not empty-handed, but carrying the spoils of victory. You're stepping out, not as a victim, but as a vessel. God is about to display through you what endurance produces. He's about to make a public spectacle of the enemy's failure. The very trial that was meant to take you out has become the proof that God still delivers, that He still reigns, that He still lifts the lowly and exalts the humble. Your life will be a banner that shouts to the world, God still speaks, God still heals, God still answers prayer. You've been quiet long enough. Now it's time to testify, not with mere words, but with the undeniable evidence of a life transformed. And now, as you stand at the threshold of a divine turning point, let this truth settle deep within your spirit. God has declared the end of your tough time, and heaven has responded. What was meant to break you has only made you bolder. What tried to silence you has only strengthened your voice. The season of suffering has fulfilled its purpose. And now, by the authority of God's word, you are being released. This is not merely relief. It is restoration. It is not only an escape. It is an ascension. You are not stepping away empty-handed. You are stepping forward wiser, stronger with vision, sharpened and covered in grace. Glance back only to witness how far God has carried you. Lift your eyes ahead, knowing the path before you is divinely secured. The doors opening in your future are not coincidence. They are divine assignments. The peace flooding your soul is not fleeting. It is everlasting. You will no longer move in survival mode. You will walk in holy purpose of God. Is not only shifting your situation, He is transforming you. This is your appointed time to rise, not by your own might, but with full confidence that God has already gone before you. What once brought pain will become your testimony. What once weighed you down will feel light in the presence of the Almighty. The battle is finished. A new chapter has begun. God has declared it, and it stands firm.